my name is Heather Lindsey, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, if you haven't noticed, I'm not in my prayer room. I just went down to my dining room. I wanted to try just a different atmosphere just for a couple videos, but I'll be back upstairs. But I'm really excited today because I always get this question, and I want to just mention it and bring it up. But people always ask me about ministry and going into ministry and how to make your ministry grow. Now, let me just put this out there right here. I never intended for our ministry to grow. I never sought out a women's ministry. I never went in with the mindset of like, I need a stage here, people. I never thought like that. Often there's many times where I shrink back and I say, you know what? I don't need no stage, God. I don't have to do this. You can call somebody else to do it. Like Jeremiah, God, I'm too young. I'm too this. I have too much of a past. I mean, I know if you're familiar with the story of Jeremiah 1, he would say, God, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go speak to those people about judgment. God, I don't want to step out on faith. I'm too young. And he began to come up with different excuses. And I feel like sometimes we do that too. We're like, oh God, I can't do ministry because I have a pastor. I can't do ministry because I wasn't perfect. Or God, I can't tell anybody my story because I wasn't this or I wasn't that. And so that used to be me very much so. So I actually like to be behind the scenes. I didn't want to be in front of the camera, and I just like to be hidden by the Lord. But I knew I was called into ministry, and it started with a bracelet. If you didn't know, I have a boutique. It's called pinkypromiseboutiques.com. And it's been around for 5 years strong. And I started the ministry. I didn't know it was going to be a ministry. I just thought I was just making a bracelet. You guys remember those What Would Jesus Do bracelets that people would wear back in the day? Well, I would have these. I wanted to make a What Would Jesus Do bracelet, but instead I want to say Pinky Promise. And Pinky Promise is the decision to honor God with your life or your body. And your body. And I want to say no randoms. And a random is a person, you're not going to marry them, but you're bored or you're lonely. So you just hang out with them. So I made a couple bracelets as faith, love Jesus, whatever. So I put them online thinking that people would just like feel sorry for me, a couple of my friends, and buy one. But no, it's spread like wildfire. But right before that, I started blogging, and that's when like nobody was blogging at that time. So I was blogging beforehand, and then I put the bracelets out. But even with my blog, people weren't really reading my posts that much. I just was blogging because the Lord told me to do it. Now, I have to back up even further. I used to have big get-togethers, and I had people come over, a bunch of girls come over to my house, and we would fellowship, and we would read the word, and we'd encourage each other. I'd give them gift bags. I just love to gather women together, and I just love for us to edify and encourage each other. And then after that, I started doing like sending out emails, and I called them my church bulletins, and I sent them to all my friends, and I would send them these church bulletins, and I would just like encourage them with scriptures and all that stuff. And we would just laugh, and we'd say really funny things, but include, the scriptures and all that other stuff. So I watched the Lord just plant different seeds in my life along the way. So fast forward to the bracelets. I put the bracelets out there. They sold like crazy. And then I realized, I was speaking with my husband, and I realized, it's not enough to tell a woman, take this bracelet and don't have sex until you get married, or, take this bracelet and honor God. No, we need to change the way they think based on Romans 12:1. So I said, all right, God, I'm going to start small groups. So my husband and I started Pinky Promise Movement Incorporated, and I went and did all the paperwork and all that stuff. And then I opened it up for women to come and to join groups. So now we have about 300 groups to date. And there's about 50,000 women that have joined all over the world. And people also often ask me this question: how do you get your ministry to go? How does it grow? How did it just grow like wildfire? And I'll be honest with you, I did nothing special. I did nothing, I just honored God with my life. And I just have to be honest. I believe that the Lord will use whosoever is willing. He searches the whole earth looking for somebody who will be surrendered and who will live for him and say yes to him and say no to sin and no to temptations and no to this world. And I made a decision to walk boldly in his ways when nobody else was looking, when I didn't have a ministry, when I was privately obeying the Lord, when nobody else was telling me, Heather, you're going to have a ministry. It's going to be great. No, people were telling me I was going to fail and that I was nothing and that I wasn't worth anything. And it's in those moments where I clung to God's word and I said, God, it is through you that you have given me the power and ability to do this. It is through you I can do all things through Christ who gives me the strength that I need. It is through you that I have your power. And I learned to cling and hold tight to him. And I'm reminded of the book of Acts, in Acts 2:47. Let's go to 46. They worshiped together at the temple each day, met in the homes of the Lord's Supper, and they shared meals with great joy and generosity, all while praising God and enjoying the goodwill of the people. And each day the Lord added to their fellowship of who was being saved. And this was the believers forming a community in the book of Acts. Now, that's the thing. God added to their numbers. He added to their fellowship. And I believe that God is adding to the numbers of Pinky Promise. And God will add to the numbers of your ministry if he breathed it. I think sometimes we start ministries that God never told us to start, and then we wonder why he ain't breathing on our ministry. He didn't anoint you, and he didn't grace you for that time to start that ministry. It's important that if whatever you're doing and whatever you're pursuing, your heart isn't even about a stage. It isn't about the people. There's been many times my husband and I have preached to 4 people. I mean, we would get on a whole plane and fly across the United States to go preach to just a couple people. And our heart is not for, the 3,000. Our heart is for that one soul. And we will take the 3,000, and that's great, but you can't discredit it because there's not great numbers following you or great numbers supporting you or great numbers saying that you're so amazing and you're so good. Do you know for years there's people telling us that we're going to fail, we're going to get divorced, or we're never going to be anything or never going to amount to anything? It's like nobody was with us during that season, and they almost think we just popped up and we just showed up here and now we have a ministry. No, we had to learn to privately obey the Lord before he gave us a public ministry. And as you see, it's God adding to your numbers. So it's not you. It's not your marketing plan. It's not your sponsorships. And it's not all the followers you buy online. That's not it. I believe that this generation is looking for somebody who's going to be authentic and who's going to be real and honest and transparent with them. And I believe that they're tired of the games and they're tired of the rhetoric, and they can sense somebody who's real and somebody who's fake. And so if you want your ministry to grow and you know that God breathed it and he called you to do it, then you need to step out on faith. I mean, at the time, there was no Pinky Promises then. There was maybe one other ministry that was online that people knew of. But I went and I did whatever God told me to do. From the email bulletins I used to send to my friends, to the encouraging text messages, to whatever the case was. I just said yes to whatever God was telling me to do in that moment. And I encourage you to do the same. And know that your ministry is going to get attacked. You're going to have people not show up. You're going to have people talking about you. You're going to have people telling you that you need to be more like this, or you need to be more like that, or you need to change your logo. What is God telling you to do? You can't be so bound to the opinions of everybody else that you're being disobedient to the one that called you to what he's called you to do. So I just challenge you, walk in the Lord's way. Be obedient to whatever he's telling you to do. And don't worry about the numbers and getting people. And instead, seek the Lord with all of your heart and be obedient privately to him. When he tells you to stop sinning, stop sinning. He tells you to get up out that bed, get out of that bed. If he tells you to submit to your husband as on to the Lord, submit to your husband. Stop being so rebellious. If he tells you to forgive that girl that hurt you, forgive her and let it go and keep it moving. There's work that needs to be done. We can't get so caught up in all these things trying to lead people, but you're so bandaged and you're hurt and you just want everybody to follow and you're sad that nobody's supporting you. Do what you're doing is unto the Lord. And it's for him and it's all about him. People show up, great. If they don't, great. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're obedient to the last thing that God told you to do. I love you guys. Make sure you subscribe and check out my blog, heatherlindsey.com, for just more encouraging things. All right, see you guys later.